And a little cross in there, and it's come through here. McAteer! Dynamo Bucharest to step forward. The nation holds its breath. Yes!
Every time I just look at that, it gets me. What's the crack? What's the bleeding story? Come on, Ireland. This is what it's about today. Please hit the subscription button, hit a like, and also for Warren and Niall's, check their channel out, and please do hit the likes. And boys, by the way, I forgot to say, will you drop your link in the description? I'll do it later on in the video just to get you a few subscribers, please God. Anyway, first underneath me, we'll introduce Warren, the man who is the slide king, the absolute legend, Warren from Warren's Team Talks. How are you keeping, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. I've, how they say, I've come here by mutual consent, mate.
Now here, we us Irish people, we have, like, you know, gone back to when they used to say 1,000 welcomes and all this. By the end of this stream, I think you'll be feeling unwanted. The anger that me and Niall are going to have will be fucking outrageous. The friendly Irish me arse. Anyway, Niall from the upper tier, on fire, mate, and I'm delighted for you. I'm buzzing. Your channel is absolutely on fire. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, not too bad at all. You would have seen the video earlier. Cyclists, not my favourite people in the world at all. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to be a Lance Armstrong, but no one wants to put in the grind, you know? So there, I'm waving the flag for us Maoris. How are you, Warren?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I have to agree with you about cyclists. It's one of my pet hates.
Yeah.
Honestly, they fucking get away with murder, but still, there you go.
I'm waiting for the day they do one of these things like the Purge, where we can go along with the doors open and just take them clean out.
Yeah, if anyone has ever seen my van or is watching knows my van, it's a big Volkswagen Transporter of all the bells and whistles on it. It's a real, you'll know it's me. You know that way, big diesel fucking engine. And if it's Purge time, I'm mowing these bastards over.
Me and Coyle hanging out the side of it with two hurls, offending these lads. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You ever seen that film, Any Which Way You Can? When the fella's got right turn, Clyde, bang!
Oh, unreal, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, enough about the cyclist. I wonder, is Stephen Kenny a cyclist? We never know. We might find out. Warren has done his homework, so he might educate us. And we'll start off with just introducing a few of the people that are in the chat first of all, because all the legends as usual. Let me see. First one up, Kyle Rossi's in the house. Come on, Kyle. Carl, sorry, mate. Yeah, hit the like, so please do, people. And as it says, just check Warren's channel out and the upper tier. Check Niall's out. He's very close to 1,000. I think you're about 2 or 3 away, as far as I know. So hopefully,
about 100. I'm on just over 900, I think. So
900, yeah. Let's hopefully you push on and get there, your goal, by the end of by the start of the season. Yeah, and just Warren, as 100%, get them up to the ceiling. Subscribe if you're new. Yes, thanks a million. Lenny's in the house. Big up Del Boy, my brother. Where is Rice? I think he's Rice Pudding at the minute. We don't know where he is at the moment. Early Doors Football TV, big up Del Boy. Please check this guy's channel out. West Ham fan, absolute legend. Would I be right in saying he's going to be on Warren's channel on Sunday? Would I be correct?
Yeah, well, we're recording it on Sunday. It'll be out early next week. Similar thing to what I did with Kyle and with the Southern Gooner.
Lovely, yeah.
Two great shows. Check them out, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Jamino, I know he's looking forward to this one. Big up, brother. Big up, Del, and the chat. Del Boy, big up, Carl Rossi. The guys just saying hello to each other. I can barely stand watching the Republic of Ireland anymore. We're fucking awful nowadays. Big up, Warren and Niall at the upper tier. Big up, guys, and I just want to get this show on the road. NS Sports, big up to you, NS Sports. That's Yeah, big up to you. This is going to be relaxing for me, to say the very least. Yes, it is. I was at the gym and all just there. I'm only back. This time an hour ago, I was in the gym pumping, bleeding iron because I was fucking fuming. A video that we're going to put up, and it got my blood boiling. You know what I mean? And I just says, do you know what? I'm going to get in, get the gym, get the blood flowing. Let's relax and see where we come. I'm lucky to have never been too invested in international football, especially Ireland, since 2002. I gave up on Ireland. Too much fans just applauding absolute shit and corruption. I 100% agree with that comment, because the Ukraine game, that's the banner that I took out in the middle of fucking everyone and all the arseholes, and I'll call them arseholes. Stephen Kenny, yay! Well, where's Stephen Kenny doing with us now? We'll go into that. Morris is in the gaff. What's the crack? Still in work, lads, but just want to say I was sitting beside a guy at the Gibraltar game and at 0-0. Yeah, like, you see, this is the thing. Like, you know, Niall, I'm sure you're the same. You'll still get positive guys. Oh, give him a chance. It's Gibraltar. Zero excuses for stuff like that. You know, nip on again. Sorry, you could be worse. You could have Gareth Southgate. Yeah, well, look, he's doing a bit of job for you. You know, game killers in the house. John Delaney and Stephen Kenny Association. Yeah, exactly. Morris, this fella beside me said Kenny was trying Gibraltar out. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Tactical genius. Genius.
Yeah. Big up, Connor. How you doing, mate? Where's the Arsenal watch along, Dell? Not today. This is stuff it's been on me back and wrecking me head. And I wanted to do it while the internationals was on, but I went on holidays and it just says, no, do you know what? I'll do it again another time. Stephen Kenny's a vegan cyclist bastard.
Don't hold back, Morris.
Yeah, my kind of person. Not. Anyway, look, let's get started. Warren, you're controlling the slides tonight. Let's go. Where are we off to?
Right, so this is the first one. And after I had that long conversation with you and you were really losing the shit, it just made me think that the ghost of Stephen Kenny is still hovering above the FAI. So that's why I did this slide. And you can see that there's like this sort of ghostly figure hovering above the headquarters in Abbottstown, I believe it is. And it sort of, after I'd done it, it reminded me of that TV show that used to be on in the UK in the 70s called Fu Manchu, right? And at the end of the show, every week, he would stand there and he'd start laughing, this evil laughing, and go, the world will hear from me again. I don't know whether you two remember it. I think, Del, you might be a bit too young to remember it. But I don't know if Noel, you remember it, mate, do you?
I'm way too young, Warren. What are you talking about? I'm way too young. What are you talking about?
So, yeah, this is what this is about, because it just, to me, it feels like he's still got his fingerprints all over it. It's just, yeah. But anyway, so we had this sponsorship deal with Sports Direct. So we're just quickly sort of going over the old ground briefly. So there was a sponsorship deal with Sports Direct, which started in 2018. And the FAI would be required to repay the money that they had received from Sports Direct if Sports Direct were not happy with this sponsorship deal. In 2019, Sports Direct terminated the agreement, and the FAI have now got to repay Sports Direct the money in monthly instalments of €100,000, and also a 5% interest until October 2025. The matter is also part of the ongoing investigation by the Corporate Enforcement Authority into the FAI. Now, what I don't know is that body, is that a government authority or is it?
Yeah, it probably is.
It would be, yeah. It would be.
Enforcement authority, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. So, if you two got anything you want to say about that?
Well, Niall, I'll let you have the floor there, mate, and I know what I think of it anyway, but what do you make of it?
Well, it wasn't a sponsorship deal. It was a short-term loan to cover up a very poor financial situation in the FAI at the time to prolong one said person's party to continue, basically. And that's really what it was more than anything else. It really wasn't a sponsorship deal. If it was, it's the most loose one that was ever put together. Clearly, this was just like a bridging loan to cover up a lot of what was going on at the time.
Yeah, and to get them back in now with the sponsorship deal and stuff like that. And as Warren just mentioned there, it seems like John Delaney's ghost is around Abbottstown, and you're 100% right, mate, because these deals that are being done now, it's trying to cover up tracks, there's probably more shit under the carpet, and they don't want it coming out. You know, this is absolutely awful dealing by the FAI. And the government of Ireland are, like, the GAA gets probably the most funding of any sports, up there with rugby, I think, you know, because their money goes into grassroots, it goes into kids and, you know, educating the younger kids and stuff like that, which I 100% agree with. It is the best way to run an organization, if it's a GAA or the rugby or whatever. But they're afraid to give all this money to the FAI because there's just too much people in the FAI corrupt, and they don't know what to be doing with the money. And that deal right there that we're looking at now is shambolic. And whoever done that deal should be sacked and put in front of a committee and begging not to be put in jail. And I'm deadly serious with that. I'm not joking. I don't think I'm exaggerating with this, because how dare you fuck football up in Ireland for my kid and hundreds and thousands of kids around this country because you're a greedy bastard. And I fucking don't. I stand by what I've just said there. You know, I'm sick of it, because I'm a coach, underage coach. The facilities that we have to train in the winter time and stuff like that is fucking disgraceful. I barely do, like you know, as a man would be going out in this weather and conditions and mucky weather and stuff like that to train, let alone kids 10 years of age and younger. You know what I mean? And this is what we're dealing with, people. So people there look at me and were giving out to me Kenny out on all this. That was only the little cherry on the cake. Stephen Kenny to me is just a base. We'll go into it, but we're going to go into Stephen Kenny. I've about 8 million things in my mind here I want to get out in my mouth, but I can't move it quick enough. So Warren, you are the referee, the calming person here. So let you lead into where we need to go next, mate.
Well, that would be a first for me, mate. I'm usually the one that's like in the centre of it all.
You sit back and relax, though.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the sponsorship deals for these two trophies. So what we got here, for those who don't know, it's the men's FAI Cup and the women's FAI Cup, right? So what they did, the FAI went to their old friends, Sports Direct, to see if they could get a sponsorship deal from them for these two tournaments. So the FAI has announced that Sports Direct is the new sponsor of both the men's and women's FAI Cups, which will last for 3 years until the end of the 2025 campaign. The FAI hopes the arrangement will help to further enhance the profile of the men's and women's FAI Cups. The FAI refused to comment on whether this new sponsorship deal changes the arrangements on their €6.5 million loan being repaid to the retailer. However, the FAI did say that it does not and cannot comment on the detail and nature of any commercial deal and its arrangements. But the FAI will update members on the current financial status and debts at the next AGM in August. So I'll hand it back to you two.
Yeah, like it clearly is for me. It's the debt that the FAI owe Sports Direct, and I just what I was just thinking, reading that there, like as you're reading it, I'm sort of going like, this isn't Sports Direct's fault, by the way. You have to give they're a business. They sell things. They want money. That's the way they are. Okay. So for them to do these deals, my hat is off to whoever getting these deals over the line, because they're doing a great job. the FAI owe them money. Well, do you know what? We'll just go again. We'll come in again and we'll give them a sponsorship deal and blah, blah, blah. And we'll knock a few quid off the loan that they have. But they'll still pay the whole lot because the FAI and the guys doing all these deals, for me, are not competent enough to do their job. And unfortunately, as I said earlier on, it's the grassroots and the League of Ireland clubs, the stadiums in the League of Ireland. That's who it's hurting. I'm sure most of you guys have seen me going to League of Ireland matches and stuff like that, and I've been to a lot of the stadiums. They're pretty bad. They're down awful, some of them, and why would companies come in and invest in this? I was only reading this morning, Sky Sports were looking to come in and do the League of Ireland. But they've been told like their cameras, some of them can't even get into the ground, and it's that bad, and the infrastructure is not there for it, And Sky Sports, I'm sure, want to get into the League of Ireland, and it's a simple fact is because it's running through the summer. It's football, you know what I mean. So anyone that likes football would easily sit down on a Friday evening in their house, have a beer, watch a match. Who doesn't want to do that if you're a football lover, if you're a football fan? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what league it's in. You're just there. Well, the Premier League's not on. The Championship's not on. Yeah, let's give this Irish League a go. Get sponsorship in the door. But no, the FAI are doing deals like this, and this harms the whole lot. Yeah. I don't. Do you want to add anything onto that, Niall?
Yeah, it's a real tough one to call, really, because as you said, Sports Direct have done an outstanding job because they're still getting the same level of marketing and exposure and everything else that they paid for. Yet they're getting most of the money back, if not all of it, and more. So it's just a real toxic environment that has filtered down through the whole situation in the FAI. As Warren said earlier, the fingerprints of John Delaney could remain for nearly a generation if you think about it, until it's really fixed and stuff like that. And we hear some of your guys in the chat there talking about people should be dragged in front of the Dáil and stuff like that, or I think they were brought up in front of an Oireachtas Senate or a committee at the time. But I mean, they were all turning around saying they had no idea what was going on, accountants and senior vice presidents and accountants and all saying, oh, we had no idea. You know what I mean? So these are the people who are signing these deals, so what are we expecting, And when people are saying they're dragged in front of the Dáil, do we really want one side of the house talking to the other side of the house when they're probably equally as bad as each other? Yeah. So we're in a bit of a bind here. I mean, at the end of the day, it's very clear the FAI is a busted flush. Let's not mince our words here. Through years of neglect and not being managed, or being managed in a way that facilitated what these people were allowed to do and stuff like that and all. And the problem is now we're now feeling that and stuff like that. I mean, even when we were kind of rich in terms of the money that we had through the good times and stuff like that, there was always still a problem at a local league grounds and stuff like that. Those issues always existed because they still never did it, whether we had money or we didn't have money, and it's just this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, like the Sports Direct thing that Warren has put together here. That's so far above the water. If you imagine an iceberg, or how deep it goes down into the water, it's when you go down underneath and you see all the other stuff that was going on. I'm sure Warren has slides, because believe it or not, me and Warren have had so many personal conversations about Irish football, and we've also done a few shows as well. That like Warren is quite educated now on Irish football at this stage with the conversations that we've had. It was crazy. I remember the last time, Warren, we were on, we spoke about the Sports Direct one, and I think Kyle just lost the plot. He hadn't even got a clue, I think, about that one. Absolutely lost it on this one. It's just this is symptomatic of what goes on and what's continuing to go on. And I've also coached the same as yourself, Del, and I see it. We're very lucky down here. We have a decent facility that was opened up by Martin O'Neill, no less. So we're quite lucky that way. But a lot of people aren't lucky that way, and we did a lot of fundraising for it as well. But it's we're feeling it now. This is what we're feeling. This is what's happened. This is the work of these people that set Irish football back 20 years. and we're going to be a long time before we catch up. And the significant other things that have happened as well that I'm sure we'll go into that has hurt it as well, namely Brexit and stuff like that. It's so difficult now to pick up players the way we used to and send players across to play into academies and all. There's so many different things at the moment. This one is it's literally just the tip. You could delve down into this. It's a rabbit hole, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like I 100% agree. And the flip side of that is the Irish rugby team. It's just an organisation that is on point, dealt right. The people behind the scenes are unbelievable at their job. The Irish rugby team are number one on this planet. Number one at rugby on the planet. You know what I mean? Ahead of the French, the All Blacks, England. You know, that's an organisation run well. You know, so don't be giving me, we've only an island of X, Y, and Z population. That does not wash with me. And I could be in the pub and some clowns wind me up. Sure, we're only a small island. Come here. I've only a small Mickey, but I'm after making 3 fucking beautiful kids out of it. You know what I mean? So don't give me all that shite. You know? Fuck's sake.
Population of 5 million, and we're looking for 25 lads to kick ball, and we can't get it sorted.
You know? See, this is what we're talking about, you know. And here, I want to bring up this comment as well from Jimino. It's absolutely spot on, and it's directing me into something I want to say. Sport director, pure wankers. I disagree with you on that, Jimino, but I was in there a few days ago. 90% of the jersey of Liverpool, Man United. Not one League of Ireland jersey, and people wonder why we don't support our local teams. I get what you're saying, right? I get what you're saying. But as I said, you go back to the lads doing the dealing, right, for the FAI, okay? If it's me, I'm going to Sports Direct, right? You want your banners and every shite around the stadium and the League Cups and the FA Cups, the FAI Cups or whatever. But what you're going to do is you're going to start selling jerseys from the League of Ireland in all your sports shops in Ireland. It's as simple as that. You give them a little section, League of Ireland, teams in them, and I guarantee you'll start selling a few of them jerseys. Because only way, well, you know what I mean? The only way these League of Ireland teams actually can sell them is on their own ground. You know what I mean? And they do be pretty busy, the shops, the little makeup shops they have. But why can't they do that? Like years ago, as it says, when John Delaney, the handball from Thierry Henry, and here's 5 million, shut your mouth, go away, Ireland. Oh, yeah, great, lovely, thanks. And John Delaney pockets half it and his rest of his little cronies. Why wasn't there a deal done then going, no, you're going to give us 5 million, all right? And you're going to guarantee one of our teams gets into the Europa League. Guaranteed. So let's say they're going into the Champions League stage qualifiers. You know what I mean? If they don't make that, it's automatically into the Europa League. Because that would have absolutely launched the League of Ireland straight up. 100%. The money that would have been generated. But no, they went for money. You know, and that's
what they should have done. Sorry to interrupt, Del.
Yeah,
what
you're
they
right.
should have done as well is ask for that 5 million and then pushed for the World Cup to be, I don't know how many teams it was, but have one extra team. So if it was 24, should have 25. If it was 32, have 33. So that one of the groups, rather than having 4 teams in it, it's got 5. And that 5th team should have been Ireland. That's what they should have done. Honestly, that incident was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Look, we'll I'm sure we'll talk about it another time because we've lots to go through here. Go to the next one anyway.
Right. So now I can't remember too much about this, but this thing is all about whether or not the FAI should get money from the betting levy, and I think what it is, I might be wrong, but I'm going to lean on you two guys here, is that there's a levy or tax put on bets in Ireland where the money that's raised then goes to the different sports like the IRFU, the Athletics Ireland, and the GAA. Is that right?
Yeah. I know a bit about this. Like, yeah, you're right in what you're saying there. I read into this as well. It's basically, you know, for any bets or something like that, certain amount of the tax or whatever goes to these sports
companies.
Council. Yeah, Sports Council. Yeah.
And then they divvy it up.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say between the ones you have there, the IRFUs, the rugby, the athletics, and the GAA and the FAI. So basically, it should be nearly quartered out, if you know what I mean. But the government don't have the confidence to give it to the FAI because they know it's so corrupt. And that's saying a lot with this Irish government because they're all a fucking bunch of wankers, that are bribing themselves and all, but that's basically it, exactly. And as I said earlier on, with the IRFU, we're number one in the world there in the rugby. That's how it's done right, but and the GAA as well. Like the GAA is just, it's ran well and they get a lot of this financial backing from the government. Is there anything you want to add there, Niall, or have I hit the nail on the head?
Yeah, no, you're spot on there with it. It's just a difficult one, because as I said to you already, you've got people sitting across from each other at a table, and you don't trust either of them, and that's where we find ourselves in such a bind. The people wagging the fingers at the FAI are the people who should be wagging the fingers at themselves, really. You know what I mean? And it's a real. It's such a difficult dilemma at the moment, what's gone on in the country over the last, say, 15, 20 years, sports-wise and stuff like that. We should be way ahead at this stage.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely should have been. But this is what it all comes down to. As it says, the government don't have what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have the confidence to give the FAI this amount of money, and
they don't have the structure to monitor it and maintain it and everything else as well. That's the real problem. What happens is you're talking about what really should have happened was they really should have let the FAI, sort of melt away and create a new organization from scratch. Too many of these guys rocking up to knowing what was going on and everything else and all, and it was just. It's sad. It's a sad indictment. And as you said earlier, when you see your intro to the show and those great moments we had, and, the history of Irish football and stuff like that, to see us where we are today is just, it's depressing, really,
Yeah, I know, yeah. I think he's so much anger behind him. He's frozen, Mr. Walsh. He's after just popping in there. But if he wants to just pop in and out there again, I will definitely get him in. But while he's doing that, Warren, do you want to hit the next slide?
I just wanted to say that comment that you made for me sums it all up and is damning. The comment you made about the fact the Irish government hasn't got the confidence to give the money to the FAI because they're so worried about the corruption in the organisation. I mean, that is absolutely shocking. I mean, if I was the Irish government, I'd be looking to see if there's no way that it can't be taken under government control. I don't know whether it can or it can't. But here in this country, if something's failing really, really badly, like the banking system a few years ago, some of the banks here had to be taken under government control because they were going to collapse.
Same here.
So I just think they need to it needs to be investigated and see what they can do because it's ridiculous, but yeah, that's just what I think. I just think it's damning. I really do.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. And thanks everyone that putting the comments in and stuff like that. I am reading them myself. It's just I hate blocking Niall's face there. Unfortunately, when the comments, I apologise. I do want to get everyone's comments in. I'd rather meet if I was down there, Niall up here, because I'm sick of looking at my ugly mush. But yeah, 19 likes, like and subscribe. And as it says, check out Warren's Team Talks channel. Please, if you're new, hit the subscribe button and also the upper tier for Niall. Please do. It helps a lot for us guys. We don't always like talking shite, but we have to do it, I suppose. we're stuck in the middle now. Warren, do you want to just hit the next one?
Yeah, so this is another one I can't really remember too much about, but it seems that the FAI has been investigated. So do you want to talk about that, either of you? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, no, you're fine. No, do you want anything? I've led the last few, but I can go on this one as well if you want. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's fine. This is obviously the investigation, obviously into the financial side of the organization and stuff like that, and the rules and regulations that were in place or should have been in place, and whether they were enforced, which we know they weren't. But they have to go through this whole investigation. I mean, the picture on the screen paints the picture, really, doesn't it? It's just, it's what he did and what he got away with is just shocking, really. You know what I mean?
Even just... for like to sort of give an example of people that don't know about this, like he was paying his girlfriend's fucking rent through the FAI, and like in a nice area of Dublin, and a really expensive apartment or a property or whatever she was in. So like he was able to do that, the money that this guy was getting, he was getting cars, he didn't pay for anything. If you've ever seen his wife, top of the range, like, you know what I mean? Because she knew this guy had money, that way. And he was getting away with it. What's going to happen to him? Nothing. I think he's over in London now. He's running a company over there, making money. That's it. As this says here, the investigation, it was mainly just a chat. I don't think there was anything else. Oh, how dare you do that? Don't do that again, Delaney. That's basically all it was. He will never see time in jail for the corruption that he'd done, And this is it, unfortunately.
Yeah, he'll sit at a pool in the Turks and Caicos Islands smoking cigars, laughing. Exactly. What happened with him, Warren? He became the Mick Jagger of Irish football. Yeah, without generating the revenue of the Rolling Stones. This is what happened to this man. This man was living the rock star lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's when you see those documentaries on Netflix about how these different bands fell asunder and stuff like that. This is the blueprint of it, but just in regards to football,
Yeah, I remember I was at an event near me in North Dublin here, and he was at a football club, and he was, I don't know, opening up a pitch or something like this. And I seen him, and compared him to, let's say, 2002 when he got this job to the day that I seen him. He had the hair slicked back. He had nice short fitted, a blazer on as well, and a nice pair of shoes. And I was there, geez, he's looking dapper. You know what I mean? And at the time, we didn't know how dapper he was, But this is the way it was, do you want to go next?
The only thing I raised, Delboy, and I raised it last time when I was talking to Warren as well, and to everyone in the chat as well. If you're in his position and you're not being managed and you're the top dog and you can do whatever you want, we all like that lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
And I said that to Warren before as well. If I can go and stay in New York in a penthouse at 10 grand a night or whatever it is, and, living it up and having a great time and drinking that good champagne and caviar and going into bars at away games and buying fans points. Everyone thought they were being bought out of his own wallet, but they were bought out of everyone else's tax money and stuff like that. No, literally, you were in a bar supping with John Delaney. Little did you know you were paying for the points yourself indirectly, but you just didn't realize. So, like, who wouldn't do it? Who wouldn't do it?
Warren, look, Warren. You're giving the questions. Now give the answers.
This is the thing. I mean, the tail of the tape, as they say, right? His annual salary in 2010 was 431,000, right? And then a year later, it went down to 400,000, and he thought he was doing the FAI a favour by doing that, right? So
and this is through the recession, by the way. Recession.
Yeah. Exactly. And so this means that he was being paid more than the President of the United States of America, right? He was also getting paid more than twice the salary that the Irish Prime Minister was bringing in, right? He was paid £250,000 more than the chief executives of Spain's FAs and Italy's FA. That, to me, that is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, whoever authorised him getting a salary at that level? It's just, honestly, I find it baffling how that was allowed to get put through.
Well, he authorised it himself. It was self-regulation. Yeah. So, like, is it, you know what I mean? Again, I ask the same question to anyone in the chat. If you're regulating and you're going to get away with it, aren't you going to give yourself the salary? I wonder, Del, here's an inside joke, Del. Did he have a Renault car as well for 5 years on the free as well? What's going on there? There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment over here, Warren, with RTE as well. You should delve into that. That's real fun at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to fucking do a thing on that, actually. I
always love as well the reference to the President of the United States, because I can't believe the President of the United States gets paid what they say he gets paid. There's no way I'm taking that job. No wonder they end up with Biden. How is Trump taking that job for that kind of money? Not a chance. Not a chance. So listen, to fly Air Force One on a couple of trips, it costs you more than what they get paid. That's I don't know. I'm not sure whether the reports are true. No one's taking that job for that kind of money.
Yeah,
then, on top of that, he was getting £3,000 a month allowance for rent. He was also getting paid. He also got paid a reported €360,000 in legal fees relating to a defamation suit regarding the 2016 Rio Olympics ticketing scandal. Then he got €200,000 in an unspecified legal fees. Then he was reported to have earned over €1 million in the last 5 years of his tenure as the FAI's chief executive in personal expenditure. So that's £200,000 a year in personal expenditure. So I guess that means like out-of-pocket expenses. £200,000 a year in out-of-pocket expenses. What
if he'd any sense, he would have put it down to the cost of living crisis. At least that might have been. Maybe that might have been acceptable. That petrol and diesel had gone through the roof and food and everything. And all. Look, he knew what was coming. He knew this was coming. That this bubble had to burst. There's no doubt about it. And what he was doing was he was lynching the place for as much as he could. And no one questioned him. Like when you look at the interviews with the CFOs and all the different people in relation to the FAI. We had no idea who was signing off on the New York hotel, who was signing off on all this expenditure. We had no idea who was auditing the accounts. You know, what do they say, that old saying, eating bread is soon forgotten, huh?
Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
And come here, like, Niall, you hit the nail on the head there for me, because he obviously, let's say, had a 5-year plan, or like, you know, whatever. He knew his end was coming. So he just said, fuck it, I'm going to keep going here. I'll stash it off to a Swiss account or a Cayman Islands account or something like that. And I'm going to have a plan on getting out of the country. And he did. He went, he's over in London now, as far as I know, and he's running a company over there. But I'm sure he could retire because all the millions he has. And look, as you said, he's writing his own checks. He's writing his own salary, whatever he wants, you know. Well, for me, I'd certainly find it tricky, all right. But I'd say there'd be a small guilt in me sort of saying, right, I'm probably taking a bit too much, but say that when I have a fat cigar, an old brandy or a champagne in my hand, and I'm in the Tahiti or somewhere like that, and you know, I won't say any more. But
but see where it goes, Del, is when you get to that level of wealth, there's no such thing as too much. There's only such thing as too little. That's the problem. I'm like most of you guys there. If my missus sends me to Lidl, she's looking for the change. You know what I mean? Let's be honest here. You know what I mean? This is just crazy stuff here that was allowed to go on. And listen, they were all in cahoots. They can say whatever they want. They were all in cahoots. But ultimately, you know, the book landed with the Irish football fan, the Irish international team, all the grassroots, the League of Ireland. They're the people who ultimately paid the price for this guy not being managed and taken to task. And that's where it lies. And it's really, really sad. And it's set us back so far. It's set us back so far now. It's very difficult to see where it's going to go and how it's going to improve and get better and stuff like that. You know, like they've beaten us down so much now as Irish football fans that we get gassed about nonsense. You know what I mean? That's where it's gone to.
Yeah.
So it's it's a tough one, you know.
Yeah.
Well, he also, you know, you were going on, Del, about how you thought he was in London, in England. He is, but he also he got into trouble in England with the company he was working for. He did some dodgy stuff there and got in trouble with the authorities with that as too. So he obviously didn't He's either he doesn't learn his lesson or he just can't help himself.
The beauty of this world, Del, is we don't run out of countries. There's always another country to go to, and that's the problem for guys like this. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're probably finding invoices over there for consultancy fees.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it happens. Look, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and like a leopard doesn't change its spots. And this is the way these guys operate at this corporate level. And if there's no enforcement, they let do whatever they want. Let's be honest. And that's, look, there's so many, as the analogy that I did earlier about Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. If there's no management company there to enforce the managing of the finances, this is what happens. You sell out stadiums and you don't earn any money because you party and have a good time, and it eventually runs out, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the lads here spitting facts, Carl and Jamino. Big up, guys, big up. Yeah, Warren, do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, so there was this thing where he famously come out and said, John Delaney, the League of Ireland is the FAI's difficult child. And that, for me, after when I did this first show with Del about this issue, it sort of, for me, summed it all up quite well, really, because when you actually look at the state of the FAI, the League of Ireland, it's an absolute shambles, and it's because of him and the way that grassroots football wasn't looked after and developed properly, because it shouldn't be in this mess. It shouldn't, and it's all because of the way it was managed, in my opinion, or the way the finances at the FAI were managed, in my opinion, from what I found out and what I heard from Del Boy and from Niall. So there was the collapse of the Sports Direct sponsorship deal, and the financial mayhem that he oversaw means that the League of Ireland struggles to get the funding it needs to be able to provide the facilities which are anywhere near adequate, or never mind acceptable. And we're going to see a picture for me that just sums it up in an absolute nutshell in a minute. But before we do that, do either of you two want to say anything about what I've just said?
Yeah, I think when you look at that and you compare it into the League of Ireland, I think the point, his choice of words have always been crap anyway, in the way he communicated anyway. So, but I think the issue you have with the League of Ireland is it's really, really difficult. Whereas if you look at, say, the English situation, you have the Premier League there and the Championship mainly feeding into the English Association in terms of talent and stuff like that. Historically, what has happened to us is what we've done is we've produced talent in the League of Ireland or at grassroots level, and that typically has gone across the water into the UK and gone into clubs, developed, or we have found players that have a granny that spent the weekend in Sligo and got a passport from whatever way they did it, and then we picked up those players. So what happens is, fundamentally, the way we have fed players into the international scene, is not the same as most countries and most associations where they've invested a lot of money and their players mainly come from those leagues. If you look at a lot of if you take, for example, the blueprint, really, if you look at the African nations, the way the African nations have developed over the years, and they've become a powerhouse now in FIFA and UEFA and all these kind of things. And a lot of their players now are playing at a really, really high level from where they started out and stuff like that. So there is a pathway for those players. It's become increasingly more difficult now. Like if you think about it and you look at the players that have come through and how they've had to come through and how that pathway has developed and stuff like that, it hasn't been directly mainly from the league into international football. There's always been a circumvent roundabout way to do it, which just makes it increasingly more difficult. And then with the way football finances have evolved, you can see it now. I mean, that the blueprint obviously is Declan Rice and Jack Grealish, who were playing with Ireland at underage level or whatever it is, and then didn't get their senior caps, ended up declaring for England, and the rest is kind of history. But if you imagine their valuations and stuff like that, if Declan Rice or Jack Grealish had declared and were playing for Ireland, their transfer fees and their wages might potentially be about half what it is now. So there's a lot of people getting advised at the moment, the agents and all this kind of stuff, be careful what you declare for, be careful what you do and all that kind of stuff. And then you have other guys out there who just come through because they want to declare for their country. They carry that jersey as a heavy weight and stuff like that, And Warren, I spoke to you about that Ireland jersey and how iconic it is and what it means and how that jersey, I lived through 88 and 90 and the great times and all that kind of stuff. I seen how football under Jack Charlton and football under those great Irish players in Irish times dragged us out of the dark days of the depression and the recession and all that kind of stuff. And I just think now people don't realise the weight of that Irish jersey and the weight of sport in this country and how it lifts us and how it creates a situation that drags us out of really tough times. A great example of that would be if you go to watch an international game, Del, we've all done it and stuff like that. If you go, you typically have a very different week if you go and watch a good game of football and get a win. Think about it in relation to your own club team. If Arsenal go out at the weekend and they smash Man City 5-0, how good a week do you have after that? You'll always have a much more productive week. You'll always have a much better week. You'll always have a pep in your step, all that kind of stuff. That's what happened at that time with that Ireland team. They dragged us out of that mire and they gave us hope that we could cling on to, that we weren't just this beaten up, small, dark, down country, that we were a country that had a voice, that we were bigger than what we were, that we could achieve things. We were fantastic in the Olympics. We were fantastic in boxing. The GAA, as Del said there, rugby, we were always really, really good at. So we were always a great sporting nation, and we always leaned on that at times when we needed that bit of hope to drag us through tough times. And I just don't think now, the way international football has evolved, especially for us in Ireland, I just wonder, do those players still understand the carrying of that burden? That, like, if you don't perform at the Aviva where people are there watching that, you can ruin a person's week. You can just, and that's right from the mentality and that sort of side of it and stuff like that. It always worries me the way they just, they'll just whip off the jersey, they'll hug each other in the tunnel. We talk about it even with our own club teams, Liverpool and Arsenal, stuff like that, where they're all hugging each other in the tunnel before they go out. And you're going, what's that about? You're about to go to war. You know what I mean? How many times have you spoke about it on your channel, Del, and stuff like that? Yeah. And I just think they don't get it. I see players there putting on the Ireland jersey that shouldn't be allowed park cars in the Aviva, near alone kick football. Yeah. And it's just, it's depressing, really. And I don't think they get it. I don't think they understand the history of what that Charlton era did for sports in this country and how it uplifted us out of that. Now, history will tell us as well, little did we know what was going on, and then we hit the wall. But, we enjoyed it at the time, and it brought us on a fantastic journey and stuff like that. And it's just international football now, especially for us as Irish fans, so difficult to watch on the palate now. Really, really difficult. I commend anyone who still goes to the Aviva to watch a game because it's so tough. So tough.
And yeah, look, I second everything you say there. There's not much else I can add on, but even with the price of the tickets for matches is absolutely disgraceful. They were selling the tickets for the Gibraltar game, which we're playing at home, and the next home game after that is the Netherlands game. And you couldn't just buy one ticket, you had to buy the 2 tickets for the 2 games, and they were 150 each. So for me to bring me and my 2 boys, it was €450 to the 2 games. €450 sterling. We'll just say it's about 400 quid sterling, roughly thereabouts. That's not including buying, if you buy a program or if you're buying drinks for the kids and stuff like that. Absolutely disgusting. You know what I mean? Greed and everything like that. But I just wanted to add that in. You're 100% right, Niall. Sorry, Warren, do you want to just go ahead there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I can remember the Republic of Ireland team before Jack Charlton got appointed, and it wasn't good, not at all. And when he came into the Ireland setup, he just sort of lifted it up, and he did a fantastic job, in my opinion. He did, and
He had to make a few decisions as well. Like, with Liam Brady, that was a tough call at the time. Does he bring him to the World Cup or what? Sorry, 88, wasn't it? Stuttgart, I think it was.
Euros.
The Euros, yeah.
Euros.
Does he bring him? And at the time, Liam Brady, big name, it was a big call, and Jack made these calls. It was a great year. Like the Euros '88, I vaguely sort of remember it. I just remember the celebrations and everything like that. And the '90 World Cup and the '94 World Cup, I really remember that. But what great times for Irish football to be alive and to witness that and celebrate it. And what Niall says there, this is Ireland back in the 80s, 90s when there wasn't much money floating around, and your parents especially, they worked paid money gone, bills, that's the way it was. There was no comfort of savings or anything like that, or I certainly didn't get to go on holidays to Spain or France or anywhere like that. It was just fucking, this is it, we're living, but to get the release that the Irish football team gave us, I was just like, oh my God, I love this sport. This is that's the reason why I actually love football so much. It's because of the Irish team in the 88, the 90s, the 94. That's for me what got me into football first. It was supporting my country. Then it was Arsenal. That's the way it was. But yeah.
I think once you hang on to hope, once you have hope, you can kind of fix anything in your life. I think when you get to a stage where you lose all hope, that's when it goes really downhill. And the one thing that Jack and the Irish team back then, and teams subsequent to that as well, they've always given us that hope that we can escape for that time, get a good result, qualify for something, be proud of our country, and escape from all the other shite that's going on in our life. And then that'll all it'll work itself out as it did. But now it's just look, cost of living crisis, international football's crap. You know what I mean? And it's just there's not a lot to get excited about. You know what I mean? It's you find yourself watching Man United versus Leeds and Oslo these days and stuff like that. You know what I mean? What else can I say?
Yeah. Do you want to go next, Warren? There?
No, I was just going to say this picture just for me sums it all up.
Yeah. It does. I think that's down in Cove. Cove. I think. Cove Ramblers. Yeah, I'm nearly sure it is now. But yeah, look, that for me would sum up John Delaney's his reign over the Irish football. Certainly, the world will never hear from me again. Well, yeah, John, but no, John.
Exactly.
Clonakilty pudding, huh?
Oh yeah, actually lovely pudding.
Clonakilty. Best pudding in the world, Warren. Clonakilty.
Yeah. I've got some coming on the weekend. Actually, I've got some white pudding coming because I love white pudding.
Oh, the shape of the roof is actually the way they look like they start to bend the pudding. Actually.
Anyway, so let's move on. So the financial mayhem that John Delaney oversaw means that the youth development in Ireland struggles to get funding it needs to be able to develop the upcoming youngsters who are looking to be the next Roy Keane and Liam Brady, so that they can have access to the facilities and coaching that they need to deserve to give them the best possible chance of making their dreams come true. And this, to me, I get really, really upset and angry about. I don't care where the kids are from, ever. That you cannot do that. You cannot ruin kids' dreams. For me, that it's inexcusable, and I would happily see someone serve jail time for that, because I think it's just, you can't get much lower than hurting children. You can't, and that is what it is all about. And I'm just get angry about it. So, but I'll pass it to you now.
Yeah, no. Do you want to say something before I go off on one?
You go off on one on this one. This will be good.
Yeah, for me, it's my younger kids are growing up now. We're lucky that we have in the club that I'm with good facilities and stuff like that. But there's times where we have to go to grounds and they're just atrocious. I mean, awful. There has been one or two games that I've gone to, and I've looked at the pitch and just gone, I don't fancy the kids that I'm managing playing on this pitch because there's divots. They could break a leg, and me as responsibility. Yeah, it's like that, but there's potholes in some of them. Herbert Park, would you know there?
I do. I know well.
There's a team that play in there. I won't mention their name, and it's not their fault or whatever, but it's a public ground or whatever. And there's fucking holes everywhere. And I had to call the game off. I said, I'm sorry. You either get a bit of sand or something and level it out a small bit, or else a kid will hurt themselves, break their leg or something like that.
We played on a pitch there one evening, Del. I think this was one of their better pitches now on the far side of the lake that they have there, the little pond that they have. Well, you hear this, Warren, right? There was a big hole in the middle of the pitch, right? And they decided to put cones around it so the lads wouldn't get down. This is now playing around the cones, playing 1-2s off them. And I tell you one thing, Warren, and you'll understand this. If you fell down that pothole, you'd probably get down the bottom of it, pop out one of those mine shafts and meet Neil Kinnock on the way out. That's how bad it was. And the ref thought that was all right. And when I blew up at the ref over this, and I said, are you serious? You're going to put 4 cones around a hole in the middle of a pitch. And that's how we're going to play. He sent me off. I had to leave the ground.
Oh, yeah, I'd well believe that, man. I'm telling you now.
I nearly got a meeting with the federation over it as well, because a few cones went flying, let's say.
Yeah.
Crazy. You want to see this pothole? You'd lose your car down it.
Yeah.
And this was in the middle of the pitch. This wasn't on the side or anything. Like this.
Yeah. You see, this is the thing. As it says, when I was at a pitch and holes all over the gaff, and I just says to the referee, mate, I'm expecting one of them chilly miners to come up out of this fucking hole. It's so deep. It's just fucking mad. But
madness.
Yeah. Warren, do you want to go to the next one there, man?
So Del Boy touched on this just now, but it's about the ticket prices for Republic of Ireland matches. And so this slide here just sort of summarizes what Del Boy was saying. So do you want to just quickly explain that again, Del?
Yeah, so basically, they sell the matches in groups, so was the France game, and I think it was the Gibraltar game or something like that first. And basically they sell them at 150 quid a pop for the 2 games. But for kids, they don't do it. Oh, if you're under a certain age, kids are half that price or whatever. It's no, if there's an arse on a seat, you're paying full whack, And for me, it's as I said, it'd be €450 to bring the boys to 2 games, plus whatever else we get and train fares and programs and drinks and crisps and all that. Yeah, absolutely disgraceful. So I couldn't afford that, and I'm on a decent wage or whatever, but there's no, I can't bring my kids to these games, especially my younger kids. When I was able to go, I think it was on the back of 2 years ago. No, it wasn't 2 years, but yeah, it probably was 2 years ago. I think we played Armenia or something like that in the Aviva. It was a dead rubber game. Nothing was going to happen from it. And tickets were I was offered tickets and I got 3 tickets and I brought my youngest boy to the game. And to see his face when to watch the match, for me, Zach has been going to the Arsenal games, me middle child, he's been going to all the games and but for the youngest fella to see him going to it, and the score was 3-2 to Ireland. We should have fucking hammered it, but look, every goal that went in, his excitement, from being there and, the atmosphere and everything like that. And these people now are taking that away from not just my kid, but from other kids around the country. That their dads and their moms can't afford to buy these tickets in lump sums because the price of everything has gone up nowadays. It's a disgrace, and to not even have I don't know, for friendly games or for not even friendly games, for these important games, to have a child under whatever age is half price or whatever, but they don't do that. And I just think that is a fucking disgrace, that you're there, you often hear Premiership players going, "Oh, I remember going to this game with my dad and that game with my dad and Nam and whoever." Like, you know what I mean? Or my granddad, my grandmother, and it puts memories in their head. Going, "I want to be out there one day." You know what I mean? That's where I want to be out. But it's limiting me to bring my kids to these games because in Ireland we don't have the Premier League. The biggest games that we get as football fans is when Ireland are playing in town. You know, when you're playing against your France, your Netherlands, and other players that are playing in the Premiership and the league and everywhere else like that. But these guys are starving kids of that. And I think shame on you guys for that. Because the likes of John Delaney and every other fucker in the place has milked the fucking system dry. We have to pay it as football fans. And another generation of young fans will never get that feeling, you know, that I want to be the next Robbie Keane or Roy Keane or whoever it is. You know, they won't get that in their head. And they're being pushed over to the rugby because they're number one in the world. They're being pushed over to the GAA. They want to play for Dublin. They want to play for Wexford, Roscommon, Galway, whoever it is. They see these on the big screen and their tickets are priced reasonable. Kids can go to the games. And that's what it's fucking about. You know, but this is where we're at. I think it's a fucking disgrace. You know, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
It is, mate. And you're 100%. I was just going to ask you that about how much is the tickets. Say Ireland's playing Scotland or Wales or England at home in the Six Nations. How much would you pay for a ticket? Just a book standard ticket, nothing fancy, just to get into the Aviva to see the match.
I'm not 100%, but I know that they can get it through their clubs as well, you know, and they're very reasonable. Like, you know what I mean? It's not the way the FAI are selling these tickets for like the games up there, the Republic of Ireland, Gibraltar, the Republic of Ireland, Netherlands. They're sold as you can't just buy one ticket; you have to buy the two. Like, you know, the IRFU don't do that, and it's because they like, you know, they're reasonably priced. And if you're a member of a football club, you can get them at a reasonable price.
And I bet you as well that there's a discount for kids.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I bet it's the same as well with the GAA as well. I bet the tickets are reasonably priced and there's a reduced price ticket for children.
Yeah, even for the League of Ireland. Like, I'm not a season ticket holder at the minute, but I probably will next season for Shelbourne or something like that. And it's just because my two boys, they love going to the Shelbourne, they love going to Talca Park. And, like, you know, I said, right, next year we'll get it, because this year I told them, right, we'll go to Pats, we'll go to Bowls, we'll go to Rovers, we'll go to Shelbourne, and you guys pick who you want to support. Like, you know, I'll back you all the way. And the tickets are reasonably priced for a League of Ireland game. It's €16 or €17 for an adult, and for a kid it's €6, which is reasonable.
It's €125, Warren, for a season ticket.
Yeah.
If you want to get a season ticket for a junior kid, it's about €125 in the League of Ireland, which is nothing.
I remember when I had a season ticket at Highbury, it was £70, but that was like 87. So it was still quite expensive. And do you know what I mean? I had to save up to get the money, but it was affordable. I could do it. Now you want to get a season ticket, you're talking, I don't know, was it about $3-4 grand, Del Boy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. But anyway, so what I think, Del Boy, what do you think? Should we play the video now?
Yeah, let's get this up here.
Stephen, how do you think you're doing as Irish manager?
You know, I'm not going to sit here and do a full press conference on an assessment of my period or in charge or anything like that. I'm here really to prepare for tomorrow, the game against Gibraltar, the big game for us. And I said to you, like, obviously I'm disappointed that we lost against Greece, but we got to bounce back against Gibraltar, and we're firmly sure we can do that. And we'll take that into September.
Well, you did say there earlier, you said you believe in the players. We're 3 years down the road, so you still believe in the players after 3 years. So,
well, it's not. I mean, players have come in that period. Like, there's a lot of players that have come in the last year. Yeah. You know, you can't. You know, they're not all. You can't say everything.
When we get to the point where you're saying there, we have the team. This is the team I want. We're going to play the way I want. We've been hearing a lot of stuff for the last 3 years. and none of us come through. You know, the record shambolic. We've been out of every campaign that we've started. This one is hanging by a thread.
Yeah, we're in the World Cup campaign and then we're in the Euro campaign. Like,
Philip, you know, be respectful with your question. Just be respectful with your question. I mean, it's important.
yeah, no, it's about time we had a bit of respect from you, to be honest. I mean, lack of respect at times at press conferences, it shouldn't be tolerated. Do you know what I mean? To be honest, it's absolutely terrible at times.
So what do you think of the players?
The players. I think the players get back in the possible
Do you believe in the players?
To get where?
To take this country in the major tournaments going forward? Do you believe in these players that were capable of doing them?
I think we are, yeah. I think the players are.
Oh,
So there you go.
Nilo, do you want to
Comment on that?
Do you want to comment on that, or
I absolutely want to comment on that. The voice of the voiceless sitting beside him, more concerned about whether he should wear a poppy or not than his actual football, is an absolute joke. That lad McLean. I've no time for him at all, to be honest. He was he was made captain for that game because it was his 100 cap, and the game before that he played in, he was an absolute embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment. You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? It just beggars belief that like, for once we had a journalist who actually wanted to go in and ask the question that everyone wanted asked, and you have the FAI press officer, of course, shutting it down straight away and stuff like that. Respect, all this kind of thing. It's absolutely crazy. Like, it's just to believe. It just goes to show you, we talk about during the COVID times and the pandemic about all operating in bubbles. This guy obviously never came out of that bubble because he still operates in a bubble where he sees himself as being top dog and stuff like that. And at times, listen, at times, don't get me wrong, I have sympathy for this guy at times. I don't think he's good enough. He was dropped into the meat grinder with the McCarthy situation and all the FAI stuff that came out. They hadn't got a washer. They put him in there. Some people get fired up on the 500,000 a year that he gets paid. 500,000 to an international manager is not big money at all, not by any stretch. It's huge money to us guys. We know that because we're just normal Joe Soap guys and stuff like that. But at that level, it's not. He did have a reasonably successful career at club level. He did do a pretty good job at the under-21s. But I just think this was a step too much, and it suited everyone. It suited him to step in when Mick didn't fancy or had to head off contractually, whatever it was. You know, it suited the FAI because I would say it's cheap as chips, but we know it's not cheap as chips. But you know what I mean in terms of the bigger thing. Yeah. Like, if you look at what we played, look at what we paid O'Neill and the O'Neill-Keane combo. Look at what we paid Trapattoni, you know. And then you look back, how many evenings did we laugh at the stuff that Eamon Dunphy used to say? And now we look back on it and he was fucking spot on. You know what I mean? And that's what drives me. That's what drives me insane. The absolute lunatic who was in the studio dropping all these grenades was the guy who was actually speaking the truth. And we didn't listen to him. The guy in the room who had the info, who knew what was going on. Remember, we went through the phase where we were going to get Terry Venables. Remember the uproar about that? You know what I mean? And it just, you know what I mean? It beggars belief, the stuff that came out and all that kind of stuff. And it just, that press conference doesn't surprise me at all, because this guy actually, from his club career and everything else he achieved, absolutely believes it. McLean is decent, but the other stuff he does, no, he's not. McLean's an awful footballer. Let's cut to that straight away, Static. Static, I love you in the comments and stuff like that. You're deadly and stuff like that. But you're only trying to get a rise out of me now by saying something that McLean is decent. He's absolutely shocking. Go look at that Gibraltar game. He's absolutely shocking. Don't get me started. Good Lord.
I'm gonna get going here, right? This is me now, right? So I'll just sort of, before I fucking blow me fucking head off me shoulders here.
Will I ring the bell, Apollo? Will I ring the bell?
Yeah. Here we go. We're going. Well, first of all, say, right, about Stephen Kenny. I cannot blame the man for taking the job, and I will not blame the man for taking the job, because if I was given the 400,000 or 500,000 he's getting a year, I'd take the job. No fucking problem. And I'm sure everyone in this room would, including the comments, right? So I'm not saying that. I don't really know Kenny, as in, I don't know the guy. That's all. Okay? He might be a nice guy. I don't know. I don't care. And I'm moving on from that. All right? So the guy in the press conference who asked the questions, I applaud him. And I fucking tip my hat to the man because he's asking questions real Irish football fans want to know. And so why are you pawning him off and looking over at your little fucking FAI press conference fucking arsehole, all right, to get him out of the room? No, he won't get you out of the fucking room because he's asking you questions that the fans want answered. But you won't even fucking answer the questions because you know you're under pressure. Yo, I'm going to concentrate in the Gibraltar game. Mate, my under 10s will go out and fucking beat Gibraltar. You know what I mean? Don't be giving me all this fucking thing. Oh, but I want to concentrate. We should have a team going out there wiping the floor with them. You know what I mean? So don't give me all that shite. James McLean. All right? James, you were on 92 fucking or 90 whatever appearances for Ireland. Okay? And you're licking the fucking arse off Stephen Kenny because you want to get your 100 caps, and you did. You got them. All right? Now, fuck off. We don't fucking need you because you're fucking useless. Okay? Don't give me all this because he's holding up a young player that could be on the international team. No, but he wants his 100 caps. Fuck off. And I mean that. I don't want to see him in a jersey again because he's not good enough, as Niall said. And I agree with you. You know what I mean? But Stephen Kenny, the FAI, it's job for the boys. Give him an 100 caps. Why? To get one cap, you should be fucking sweating tears to get one fucking cap. And we're just giving him out to fucking, James McLean's a great servant of the country. Give him another few caps to get his 100. Why? To fucking risk an Irish campaign? To get into a World Cup or to get into a Euros? How fucking dare you do that on my fucking time or anyone else's time? You fucking shower of bastards.
And the conversation about how I had to blood in all these new players and stuff like that. Yeah, you did. Why did you have to do that? Because your predecessor does exactly what you did. Let people hang around till the smell of them bins them out the door. And don't let these youth players come in and don't blood youth. O'Neill never did it. Absolute joke. Look at Grealish. Look at Declan Rice and all. Never did it and stuff like that. Trapattoni, forget about it. Absolute disaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just you know, I looked at the squads. The funny thing about it, if you look at his first match day squad and you look at his last match day squad, 13 players are still there. Out of whatever they name. What do they name? 25, 28, whatever it is. 13 players are still there. So basically half your squad is still there from your first game to your last game.
And that, look, I can't say anything else after that. If you hit the nail on that, that's just fucking unbelievable. Warren, do you want to say anything about that yourself? Like, what way, as neutral here, what way you feel?
Well, when I was making that video this afternoon, I was watching the man's body language, and he, from the get-go, he looked timid. He looked unconfident. If I'd been in that press conference and I was sat in these shoes, I would have gone on the offensive, right? But he just sat there, and the first word he comes out of his mouth was, "Oh well, you know, this sort of timid sort of." To me, it looked like he didn't want to be there. He felt uncomfortable. When the press officer, whoever that person was who was stood off camera, started saying, you know, we need to have some respect in the way the questions are asked, he jumped on that and then went for the person. He tried to go for the person, but even that was quite timid. The way that he said, well, you know, I think it needs to be a bit more respectful with the questions and all this carry on. And he just, when he said that, for me, what was interesting was the way then he started playing with he was touching his face all the time, and then he was playing and pulling at his shirt, and he just looked so uncomfortable. And I don't know if he speaks like that all the time, but if I was in that Irish dressing room and I was a player, that wouldn't inspire me listening to someone speaking like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like, how are you supposed to get up and get motivated and like, you know, your manager is there to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your manager is there to motivate you to go out onto that pitch and absolutely pull fucking everything for the team. Yeah. And you're telling me this guy, like, the few of the comments he's even said through the past few years have been fucking a joke. When he agrees with something, we'll just say, as Morris said, and I'll just see him there in the chat again, as Morris said in the chat, he's like a vegan cyclist. He is. But if you talk about veganism and fucking cyclists, he'll probably, yeah, I know everything about this and get involved in it. Because he certainly doesn't know much about football if he's like, you know, needing to motivate them and real relaxed and stuff like that. And he gets asked difficult questions. And as you said, Warren, he's there scratching his nose and he's itching himself and all this, you know. And that guy, Irish Football Vlog, I think that's who it is. And big up to you, man. I think I have contact with him, but I'll say nothing about that yet. But big up to him because he's asked questions that us fans want answers to, you know. And the FAI to continue on with this bull is a joke because now you're just what he should be done is sack him, okay? Get your new man, Lee Carsley, whoever it is, Chris Houghton, another name I'd throw in. I don't know if you're the same, but I think it'd be an improvement on Kenny. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, but yeah. Look, do we have more? Do we have more there, Warren? Do you want to?
Yeah. So that's it. That's the last one. And yeah, this advertising. Make sure Del Boy's got the part one of this. We did one a few months ago, and it's in it's on his channel. It's brilliant watch, and see Del Boy getting and a few other lads getting really passionate about this John Delaney situation because that one was a lot more about John Delaney and the damage he'd done. But yeah, you can find that on Del Boy's channel. So yeah, that's about it. But whatever you do, don't give the job to Neil Lennon.
Well, just sort of like I'd like to sort of, let's say, come to you first, Niall, and then I'll go to you, Warren, and I'll sort of talk about them myself. Like, what needs to be done now for Irish football? Is it getting rid of Stephen Kenny? Do we, like, I don't know, what's your sort of top of your head answer?
I think the problem is, you know, I think the financial situation is the driver in this. I think, to be honest, if they had the money to bin him off, they probably would have binned him off at this stage, to be honest. I don't think financially they're in a position to bin him off and bring someone in on similar money, and I don't think they have better money to offer. And I think that's the problem. They're a victim of their own situation. And this is the upshot of it. You can see they came out there the other day or the other week there after those international games. I said they're gonna see him through to the campaign or the matches in September or whatever it is. You know, it's a sad indictment. And then, you know, again, I often make the point as well in terms of the players coming through and the squad that we have and stuff like that. I believe a better tactical manager in there who understands. I'm not as concerned about what our football looks like. Morris will often have conversations with me off GP. It's a results-driven business. And I think that's the way it has to be. And I think you have to play to your strengths. It's all well and good wanting to play like Barcelona, but if you don't have Lionel Messi and Xavi and Iniesta, you can't play like Barcelona. And the problem that we have at the moment is he's culturally trying to change a brand of football that for years has worked. It might not be pleasing on the eye, but it got us to finals of tournaments. It generated revenue for the association, and it developed players somewhat. But I just think it's I think it's too much of a step to have to overhaul a squad the way he's had to. And a lot of that lands with the previous managers. And I think the real problem is you're trying to overhaul the squad, you're trying to change a culture, you're trying to put in a footballing, you know, kind of principle and stuff like that. I just don't think you have the, you know, you need all the parts to build a building. And I don't think he has the parts. And I think he's to be commended in somewhat in what he's trying to do, but I think he's trying to do too much too quick. And I think he was more concerned about maybe trying to leave a legacy on Irish football than he was about the actual result. He's always thinking to the future. It's always what he's trying to plan. And the problem you're going to have is he's not going to be around long enough to see what's going to happen. And the next manager that's going to come in is going to recognise what we have, what's available, and how we should play. And if that means we have to go back long ball, or sometimes we have to play long balls, then so be it. You know what I mean? I'd rather be walking out of the Aviva after winning than to be getting beaten and looking like Brazil. What I mean? And that's the fact of the matter.
Can I just sort of, I'm just curious to what you have to say about this, because I always say to people, if he managed the let's say the 1990 World Cup team or the 94 team, now bear with me, you know, I just think this style of football that he plays, Kenny does, if he had the players to do it, it possibly could work, and it could possibly, like, if he had the players. Now, you think of the team back then, we had ballers as well, you know, and like Jack just done long ball over the midfield and just straight in. Whereas I think we need Jack's like philosophy now, if you know what I mean, to actually get a result. Would you agree with that, or shut up, Del?
Yeah, no, I think somewhere in between is a happy medium, not to sit on the fence. And I think what the real problem is at the moment is, you know, winning is a habit and winning is a culture. And if you don't have them, it's very, very difficult. Like if you're walking out of the tunnel in the Aviva wondering whether you're going to beat Gibraltar or Oman or whoever it is, and I know international football has developed and there's no easy international games, that a lot of high-level coaches have gone into these countries to do better jobs. They've invested in grassroots and scouting and all that kind of stuff. So gone are the days where you rock up and you just think, yeah, I'm just going to blast these away kind of thing and stuff like that. It's a lot more difficult than that. But you should still be able to get the job done with the pool of players that he has there. He is to be commended in the players that he brought in. I think he's doing something that previous managers should have done and they didn't do. You know, the likes of the Glenn Whelans hanging around too long, which stopped players coming in. And we could name a dozen players that's going to block the pathway, as you said, for younger players to be brought in and stuff like that. And that's not all on him. He's tried to do it. But I think what happens is he's gone from here all the way over to here, and he's trying to make that leap instead of pacing it in between and having a pathway to it while protecting his position by picking up results on the way and doing what needs to be done and stuff like that. Like you look, see, the problem is as well, you look at the France game, we went there, we got beaten, I think 1-0 it was. Yeah. We played really, really good. We played really, really good football. We went toe-to-toe with France. We showed what we were about. Then we went out in the next game and we looked like we hadn't kicked football together. Yeah. And then if you look at the last time, I think he had something like 10 days to prepare the team. The longest international camp I've ever heard outside of the finals of a tournament. And we actually looked worse. We actually digressed from what we were by having a longer camp to prepare. And I can't put my finger on it. You know what I mean? I just don't know. And then, as you said, the question is, who do you get in? A lot of these people that you mentioned, they're already in pretty good jobs and much more appealing jobs, to be honest. As they said there, Chris Hughton obviously is the Ghana coach and stuff like that now. You know what I mean? Lee Carsley, look at the job Lee Carsley's doing at the lower age level in England, stuff like that. Look at the talent he has and all that kind of stuff available to him. So the future's very bright for the English international side. Look at what's coming through. And I just think we have that problem where it's just not as an attractive as proposition as it used to be. It's a mammoth task, and you have an association there that's basically third world try to act first world, and that's the way it is. They're broke as a joke, and you know that's why they're doing what they're doing with ticket sales and various other things and all these other things that they're doing. But ultimately, from top to bottom, it needs a shakedown. You know, and unfortunately, Kenny is going to be the poster boy and the scapegoat for the FAI and all the John Delaney shit, and that's the way it is, and that's the reality of it. And as Warren said, in terms of communication and stuff like that, he doesn't have it. You know what I mean? It's one thing to give an interview in the piss and rain with a hood up at the side of the brandy well with a bottle of Lucasade in your back pocket. It's another thing to sit in front of the media as an international manager. And the step up was just too much. And unfortunately, he was pinned into a position where he couldn't refuse it. And then he didn't realise what he had taken on, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, you know, it's Warren, do you have anything to add or from your findings?
No, I agree with almost everything Noel said, I have to say. And, you know, I think the big problem the FAI has got is all this financial mayhem that is coming home to roost because of John Delaney. And that needs to get resolved. The corruption needs to be rooted out. How they're going to do it, I don't know, but I think the Irish government might have to get involved if they can. In terms of the coaching of the national team, it's a problem because you can't, because of the financial issues at the FAI, how are you going to afford to get in a top quality coach? I just can't see how that's going to happen. And that's what it needs, because I'm sorry, but if I, like I said earlier, if I'm sat in the dressing room and you're going to go out and you're going to play, say, France or Spain or Italy in a quarterfinal or semi-final of the Euros or a World Cup, he ain't inspiring me. Yes, you know, people would say you shouldn't need to be inspired, but sometimes some of these players, if they're really young, they might be scared, and they might need, you know, belief put into them that they can compete with the likes of Mbappe and, you know, Xavi and all these other players. Do you know what I mean? I just can't see him doing it. The way he sat there in that press conference, he was so timid, you know, and like fiddling in with his shirt and touching his face, and like, I'm sorry, it would just not inspire me in the slightest.
Yeah, like, you know, it's as I said earlier about him, like, you know, you can't. I can't argue with the man for taking the job. You're a football man. The Irish international job comes along. You're taking it all day long. I don't care what anyone says. You know, for me, the next international games is France, Holland, the Dutch, and France. You know, so even if they sack him, it's a hard job for the new manager to come in. But on the flip side of that, you also find out about your players. You know what I mean? In these tough games, where you're at. You know, do I continue on with a James McLean down the wing? You know, is he found out? No, his time is up. So if they are to get rid of him, I thought the opportunity was after the last international games and reevaluate over the summer. There's probably managers I can't even think of off the top of my head that are available that probably would suit the job, you know, and give them an interview, give them a chance then.
There was one boy, but they've missed out on him. They would have been perfect.
Who's that?
Brendan.
Yeah. Well, he would have came with money. You know, Niall, you'd know all about that. Would he be a good international manager?
Sorry, who was that? Who was that again, Warren? Brendan Rodgers wouldn't be able to afford him. Wouldn't be able to get near to afford him.
You know, that because of the FAI and what we've just talked about, like, you know, so it has to be not an up and coming manager. You know, is it one of these managers that are near the retirement end of things? You know, I don't know, but you have to give them the chance of, as I say, these two games coming up. I think they'll have another game in March. Would I be right in saying with this qualifiers? We're out of it now altogether, like, you know. So just give him a few games just to bed in what he needs to get and stuff like that. But they didn't do it, you know. Probably because if they wanted a manager, they'd have to buy him out of a contract, and as we says, can't afford it. You know.
When's his contract up?
I think it's after this.
Yeah, at the end of this campaign.
Yeah,
end of this campaign.
Do you think they will know it, or do you think that they'll say thanks?
No, they won't. They won't renew it. There's no way they'll renew
it. No, they definitely won't. You know, it's just sickening. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, anytime Ireland used to play, I used to be excited about it and try to get tickets for it and everything like that. But no, yeah, like, you know, sorry, I'm just reading Morris's comment there. But no, look, I want to first of all say thanks to Niall for coming along from the upper tier. Please do hit the subscribe button on Niall's. Give him an sub, please do. And Warren as well. Big up Warren. He done the slides. I really appreciate you, Warren, for doing all that. And you've educated yourself along with me, and I'm sure Niall as well. Like, you know, so Niall, first of all to you, please give a shout out to your channel anyway and what you have coming up and anything on the horizon.
Yeah, it's the upper tier at the moment, so it's the upper tier everywhere. YouTube, Spotify for the audio shows. Just when you're blocking out my face there with the comments and all that, I don't mind because we do the audio shows as well. So it's all good. It's all good. Same on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. It's the upper tier. The Liverpool section of it is the Shankly Sessions. There's a playlist there for that. And we're doing a bit of pro wrestling as well during the summer and stuff like that as well, having fun with the pro wrestling shows. So yeah, you'll find us every day, daily there. I'm doing like a morning brew, morning drive, morning, whatever I can call it, whatever I say, whatever the mode of transport is. Tomorrow I'll probably be on a bike after killing someone or something. Let's see what happens there. But that's all the latest news and transfer news and stuff like that. And then we continue on with the shows. Next week we'll have a show probably looking at all those new beautiful kits that have come out for the new Premier League season and stuff like that. We'll do a show on that and various other things. And anything anyone wants me to do a show on, I'm happy to jump on and do anything really. You know,
really appreciate
you having me on as well. Cheers, bud.
No bother, Niall. Cheers.
And of course, I'm looking forward to the Jeff Stelling of our group coming back after the summer. Our very own Jeff Stelling. Those Saturday shows are immense. I miss them, Warren. I miss them.
I'm looking forward to it. I have to say I'm missing it, to be honest.
My Saturdays now are so empty.
Yeah, I'm the same. Warren, just do a show. Even just do a repeat on football matches, even for the crack. Like, you know what I mean? And get us there. You know what I mean?
I did think the other day about just like doing a show, seeing if I could find some random games around Europe or somewhere on a Saturday afternoon, just see if there was any. But I don't think there is. But if there was,
or even a best of season one, do a load of clips from all last season and put them together. Because some of the reactions have been unbelievable and stuff like that. I mean, classic stuff.
It'll be good fun.
Yeah. So Warren, what do you have coming up anyway on your channel?
Right. Okay. So on Sunday, I'm meeting with this fella here.
Yeah.
And we're going to be recording a show like I did with the Southern Gooner, Matty, and also Carl Walsh Gunner. So I'm really, really looking forward to that because he's a big West Ham fan and he's been a West Ham fan for years. He likes non-league football like I do as well. So it'll be really, really interesting discussion, I'm sure. And that'll be coming out early next week. And I'm going to be doing a show soon about the history of English football as well. So, but that's going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks because I'm going to look at each club in turn. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Daryl, listen, thanks so much for letting me come on your show and letting me help you out with these slides and the videos, and it has been a learning experience as well. I'm just but there is, because of my family heritage and whatnot, and it does sort of remind me, painfully so, of the situation in Scotland. For those of you who don't know, the Scottish FA haven't even got sponsors for the Scottish Cup. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful.
Well, we can go after them next if you want, Warren. We'll
exactly. I mean, how can you not have? Because it's the actual cup itself that the teams get given. It's the oldest cup in world football, right?
Jesus.
Like the only competition that's older is the English FA Cup. Right, but the actual trophy itself is the oldest one in world football, and they can't get a sponsor. I'm just sorry, but I just think that's shocking.
Jesus,
Del, we think we've problems in the Irish Association.
Here, come here, Warren. I'll get on to Sports Direct if you want. I'm sure they'll do
it.
It's all you need. Mike Ashley involved, good Lord.
Yeah, exactly. Now, look, I want to say a big shout out, a big thanks anyway to Niall and to Warren, and please do check their channels out. Really appreciate it. And to everyone in the chat as well, really appreciating everyone looking and stuff like that. this is why I do these shows. It's fucking head-wrecking. Like, you know, I'm sure for Niall it's the same with the Irish thing. Like, you know, it's just, Jesus Christ, you feel like banging your head off the wall. But look, I hope you all enjoyed the show. I'll be doing a few more videos. I'm doing a live, I think, tomorrow night with TJ Warren. He's asked me to come on, so I says, yeah, let's do it. I'm on the American Idiot show, bringing an Irish fucking idiot on the show, if that makes sense to you. You know, but yeah, check that out. But I'll be dropping also a video tomorrow as well about just Arsenal updates and transfer updates and stuff like that, because I see that they drew 1-1 today. Arteta apparently is going to announce the Rice deal as soon as possible. I think the two of them will be on the airplane for Sunday when Arsenal are flying out to America. And Arteta is going to get his cowboy hat on and go to the Stan Kroenke's ranch and try to lasso in a bull or a cow or whatever the fuck the lasso, you know. But anyway, thanks a million, everyone. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new already. Really appreciate it, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thanks again, Warren and Niall. And take